I just wanted to speak to you for a couple of minutes really about, I'm going to actually try and do something really brave. My legs are hurting. Yeah, that's better. I just wanted to talk to you something about, briefly really, to tell me if I go over about 7 minutes. This shouldn't take more than about 7 minutes to say. But it's something that's been on my heart for a while actually, and I was going to speak about it via videocast, but we misplaced our webcam for a little while, and so I haven't recorded it. So this is the one that it's going to be recorded now, in fact. What I want to talk to you today about is something really simple, and I want to get right back to the beginning, really. Does anyone remember what happened in the beginning?
The Word.
The Word? Got it. The Word. Very soon after that, about 7 days, 6 days, God decided to create a couple of people, one bigger than you, who came after a man, Adam and Eve. And these two people were gems. They were really great. They were made exactly in God's image. And they weren't actually too different to you, except they didn't have a kind of expiry date. They were designed to live eternally in this wonderful place called the Garden of Eden, which had nice fountains, big trees, nice fruits. And God was really pleased with them, and they were really pleased with God, and they got on wonderfully. And then, you guys obviously know what happened next. They fall for a snake, and they end up eating what many people call an apple, but in fact it's not meant to actually be an apple, is it? It's something else. It's something closer to a fig, I believe. Although I don't know for sure. Anyway, these they do this, and this is the one thing. I mean, let's be honest. It's one thing that they can't do. What they do, they screw up, and they eat this fruit, share between them. I note that there's a lady who ate it first. But so just as much as I most of this is the rest of the day.
Can you tell me what's
so they screw up basically, and suddenly they go from being God's children and like God's own thing to being cast out. Oh, get out! You're not allowed in the Garden of Eden anymore. And they get cast out, and they begin to populate the earth as these outcasts, and they're not God's people, and they're messing up, and they don't really realise it, but they're messing up, and they're not being what they're meant to be. Anyway, a few 100,000 million years later, however long, another guy comes along, Abraham and Moses, and these people sort of start to follow God, and they start to take him seriously. And God then decides that I really need to make it clear to these guys where they're getting it wrong, where they're falling short of the market, because they're going around thinking, man, I want to be right with God again, I want to be in the Garden of Eden with all the nice butterflies, fountains, waterfalls, etc. But what's going on? So God zaps down some thunder on a bit of stone with these 10 commandments on it. He's gone from one thing you can't do now to a list of 10 things. And obviously I'm not going to repeat them all because I can't remember. I remembered them in RE lessons. My exam, but I can't remember them all now. And so they list all these things, don't lie, don't murder, respect your parents, adultery, any others? Speak up.
Don't steal.
Don't steal, yeah.
Don't use his name in vain.
Yep, don't use his name in vain. Yep, love the Lord your God with all your soul. That's the one.
Good idea,
So you got all these commands anyway. These, against common belief, these things weren't actually designed really for you to live your life against, for these people to live their life against, because as inevitably happened, they had all these things which were, look, if you do all these, then you'll be back to that position with Adam and Eve. And they look at it and they think, blimey, they do 2 good days and then they commit adultery, or they lie, or they don't respect their parents, or something like that. And so they kept going back to square one again. And these things were really set out to say, look, this is actually the distance between you and me, God. This is the gap, okay? And you can try and make the gap, but you're not going to actually do it because you're going to fall short. Anyway, this goes on for thousands of years, and every time they fall short, basically, they sort of cut off their hair and they cover themselves in soot, and they take off all their clothes and put a potato sack on. And they get on their knees and they sort of grovel for a few days. They burn a few sheep, stab a few cows, and then they kind of start again. And then 2 days later, they've realised that they've sort of not respected their parents, this is adultery or whatever, and they have to do it all again. So this was kind of a ritual they had to do over and over, as quite a lot of you are aware of. Anyway, God then, in his abundant grace and unexplainable brilliance, is like, whoa, 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 we're going to do something about this. So he sends this chap down, who most of you guys are fairly familiar with, Jesus.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to interject or not.
And this guy Jesus, he came and lived these 10 commandments. He came and lived, and he didn't live them. This is the thing. He didn't live them because he was just a really good version of Sammy or Bex. You know, he didn't do that. He lived it because actually he was God as man. You know, he had a kind of one up on us sort of thing, being God and all. And he lived it perfectly, and by doing that, he fulfilled it really, and he answered it. I know most of you have heard this before, but some of you haven't, and I'm going somewhere, believe me. Although where I'm going at the moment is quite good, I think.